It's the Best Damn Sports Show podcast with your hosts, Jason Cahill and Bernie Kim.
Welcome back to the Best Damn Sports Show podcast. It's been a while. I'm Jason Cahill.
I'm Bernie. It's been a very long time, and I'm glad to be back.
We've been on a self-imposed hiatus, I guess you'd call that. But we're back and better than ever.
Yeah.
It's the new improved Best Damn podcast.
Yeah, let's get at it.
So lots to talk about today, and then coming up in a little bit, I know, Bernie, one of your favorites, Orioles first baseman Kevin Millar.
Gold Glove caliber first baseman this season, Kevin Millar.
Yeah, we're going to ask him about his recent trip to the White House. He sang with Kenny Chesney, by the way. Did you know that, on the White House lawn?
I did not know that.
Yeah, so we got to ask him about that and playing T-ball with the president.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be good, and lots to talk about. We'll talk about our recent Hooters swimsuit pageant that we went down to Florida to produce, the All-Star Game. We'll tell you about one guest who ended up not making air. I don't know if we'll tell you the guest's name or not. We'll tell you the story behind it, though. And then we had a bunch of great guests over the last couple of weeks. Luther Campbell from 2 Live Crew is here. Vern Troyer, Mini-Me, came by.
Finally. We were supposed to be on before, canceled, and then he came back on.
So we finally got Mini-Me. And then the Sunset Tan Girls came by, and some people thought that that was a good segment, and some people thought it was not such a good segment. So we'll talk about that. But first, funny story for you, Bernie.
Let's hear it.
I went to the premiere of Pineapple Express last night.
Okay.
Very good movie, very funny movie. I'm at the premiere party afterwards, and I see Huey Lewis.
Huey Lewis,
one of my favorites from the 80s. Bernie, do you know this? I don't want to date you or anything, but do you know Huey Lewis? Are you familiar with Huey Lewis?
Of course I know Huey Lewis.
All right.
Sports.
Anybody of my generation really grew up listening to Huey Lewis in the 80s. Right, sports. Exactly. I want a new drug.
Right.
Back to the future. Right. So of all the people at the premiere, he was the one guy I wanted to go up to and say hello.
Well, who else was there?
Well, I mean, guys like Ed Norton, Gary Shandling, Jonah Hill, Seth Rogen. I mean, really,
but you made a beeline for Huey Lewis.
There were A-listers. By the way, Ron Jeremy was there.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I wouldn't count him in the A-list, but just to tell you the caliber of people that were there. There were high caliber, and then there was Ron Jeremy, but somewhere in the middle there was Huey Lewis.
Okay.
So I go up to Huey Lewis. I say hello. I tell him who I am. Best Damn Sports Show. He's a huge sports fan. He tells me he is living in Montana, doesn't have a television set, so he hasn't watched sports in a couple of years, but he said the last time he sang the anthem at a Giants game, he tells me the story about Barry Bonds and how really Bonds was kind of an a-hole.
Oh, shocker.
Yeah. He didn't use those words exactly, but he was pretty much cursing left and right. Didn't like Barry Bonds, not a good teammate. I mean, not that Huey Lewis would really know what kind of teammate Barry Bonds was, but you get the gist. But here's the point of the story. So in the middle of him talking to me and telling me this story, Huey Lewis picked his nose.
Come on.
I'm not making that up. I can't make that up.
Was it like a scratch or was it a dig?
I was standing with. That's a good question. I was standing with my friend Andy, and we're talking to him. And as we walk away, I look at my friend and I said, "Did that just happen?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "What do you mean? What do I mean?" I go, "He just picked his nose while we were talking to him." So he said, "Well, was it a pick or was he kind of going outside the nose?" I said, "No, he went in the nostril." And then he did a little, like, flicking motion.
Oh, jeez.
I wish I could make that up.
What?
Huey Lewis. I want a new drug. Part of rock and roll. It's still beaten in Cleveland. He picked his nose.
He doesn't have a lot of etiquette. I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go. That's my Huey Lewis story.
He picked his nose in front of you.
Tell it forever.
All right.
He picked his nose. All right, so let's talk about some of the cool stuff that we've gotten to do over the last few weeks. And Bernie, one of the cool things you got to do, you were the guest blogger for the Hooters swimsuit pageant.
Yeah, that was great. They just called me up and said, "Hey, come on down. Just watch these girls for an entire week as they get ready for a beauty pageant."
Who called you up, by the way? Who's they? Who called you up?
Our fine producer, Tally Hare, called me up.
So it was an in-house phone call.
It was an in-house phone
call.
call.
It's not like Hooters called you up and said,
no.
"Hey, we've heard all about you. Why don't you come down and blog the pageant?"
They know all about the MySpace site and its success of 30,000 friends, but
that's a lot.
No, we're killing right now.
Yeah.
But no, got to go down there for a week, check out what it's like to be with 130 bikini models, and if you check out our website in a few weeks, you will read all the blogs about it, videos, pictures. It'll be great. And then the show is also coming up, too, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, this was down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Lots of good stories came out of the Hooters trip. Some we can tell, some we can't. By the way, I will say this. There was a party following the Hooters swimsuit pageant, and then there was an after party. And the after party took place on a yacht. And on that yacht was John Daly.
John Daly was there, yes.
He was there. And John Daly was walking around with a flask. And in the flask was a drink that he referred to as his magic potion.
I believe it was more than a flask.
It was a bottle with some covering on it.
Yes, it was a bottle.
But it looked like it was personal covering. It looked like it traveled. It was weathered.
Yes.
It'd been with him for years.
Yes.
So he takes it out. He calls it his magic potion, and he lets you and me and one of our other producers take a sip from it.
Yep.
And what happened, Bernie?
And not only that, as I was taking a sip from it, I don't know what it was. I took a sip from it, and he jiggled my neck. He put his fingers delicately on my Adam's apple and jiggled it.
I saw it happen. He did do that.
It was quite a unique experience.
Right. So then I took a sip, and then our other producer took a sip. I think it was either Crown Royal or Jägermeister. It was something like that. But I will say, and I'm not here to suggest that I thought that John Daly had maybe given me some sort of a herpes-type disease in my mouth, but maybe it's just a coincidence. But a few weeks later, I got a sore in the mouth, and the first thing I thought of, I think John Daly just gave me herpes.
Oh my God! Did you just say that?
Yeah, but not true. Not true. It's gone away. I'm all good, and there you go.
Now, and did you know that 2 weeks later, when we came back from that trip, maybe it was a week later, he was on TV talking about how Butch Harmon called him out for being, living the party life, and he said he doesn't do that anymore. And the first thing I could think of was drinking out of a mysterious bottle as he jiggled my neck.
Butch Harmon doesn't know about the magic potion. I think, by the way, at the end of the podcast, we're going to have a disclaimer that John Daly did, in fact, not give me any kind of disease whatsoever.
No.
John Daly, clean as far as I know. Yeah. And then we went down to New York for the All-Star game. And that was a lot of fun. We had the parade on 6th Avenue in Manhattan, and then went to the game that night, which was great.
Cahill, you went home.
I went home.
New York's favorite son returns.
I'm a New Yorker. Got to see them give the ovation to Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning when he came in, and then got to see Terry Francona call one of the worst games in All-Star history.
Well, it was also one of the longest, most boring games I've ever seen.
I left in the 10th inning, and I took the subway back with Al Leiter.
Wow, Al Leiter.
I love when guys like that are actually on the subway.
They do like the regular people.
Right, him and his family taking the subway back from the game.
Now, did you know they were going to be on there, or is this a coincidence?
No, they happened to be sitting across from us. But back in the day, a bunch of old Yankee players, they used to always take the subway. I remember also John Olerud. That was his thing. He used to, when he was playing for the Mets, he would take the subway back and forth, which I always thought was pretty.
And he wore a helmet too, as he did
it. Yeah, there's that Ricky Henderson story. Yeah. Hey, I used to play with a guy like that.
Ricky, that was me.
I don't know if that story was true. Didn't we ask Ricky Anderson one day on the air if that story was true?
Yeah, I think so.
No?
Yeah, he said no, but I think it's true. I want to believe it.
Yeah, exactly. I do want to believe it. And then we came back here. We did some remotes from Las Vegas with the members of the Team USA basketball team. And then we had one segment that we did. And I won't say exactly who the guest was, but every now and then, I'd say it's happened about 6 or 7 times in Best Damn history in the 7 years that we've been on. Every now and then we have a guest, and for whatever reason, it's just not working. It's not clicking. You can kind of feel it in the control room. It's either a boring segment, or the guest isn't getting into it, or our guys aren't getting into it. Happens every now and then. Well, it happened recently with one of the athletes we had on the show, and we decided not to air the segment.
It's always sad.
We don't usually do that. Sometimes we will cut down portions of the segment to make it more interesting. But I think, we kind of felt that the segment wasn't airable.
Doesn't meet our standard of excellence that we had built.
So we didn't air it. So it doesn't happen often. Should I say who it was? I don't think I should say who it was.
I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Really? It doesn't matter?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it matters.
Let's just say this. A member of Team USA.
A member of Team...
So that narrows it down.
Right, it does.
Right.
It's 12 people or so.
Exactly. Right.
Who seems to have a great personality. Who has done network gigs.
Yes. He's done network gigs, and he's all over the internet.
Yeah.
How about we leave it at that?
We can leave it at that. Sure.
Yeah. But we had some good guests on from Team USA. I mean, Kobe Bryant was fantastic.
Fantastic.
Right.
LeBron, great job.
Yep, lit it up.
So, I love it. Team USA. Gonna bring home the gold this year.
You know what? I don't want to say I'm rooting against them, but I almost don't care.
Really?
Yeah. I don't care.
It's one thing to not care after the Dream Team dominates, and then 96 they dominated. In 2000 they almost lost a game. But now that the U.S. has been knocked off its perch, I don't like the fact that European teams are winning this, or Argentina.
Why don't you like that?
Because I think the basketball is a very American thing.
Here's the way I look at it, and then we'll move on to other best damn related stuff. But here's the way I look at it. I am rooting for Dara Torres to win a gold medal in the Olympics. I'm rooting for Amanda Beard to win a gold medal. I want to see Michael Phelps win 8 gold medals. But the USA basketball team, I feel like it's almost cheating. It's almost cheating. I liked it better when the college kids were playing, and even though they wouldn't come close to winning gold, at least I felt that if they did, we'd have another, miracle on ice kind of moment.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if a bunch of college kids went over there, and beat these great European teams.
I get that.
I can get into. I can root for that. But I can't root for Kobe Bryant and LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony winning gold over there. I don't know why. It's not because I'm un-American. Trust me, I'm rooting for every other athlete to win gold medals because they're amateur athletes. Listen, I get it. But I don't see the rooting interest in the members of the Team USA basketball team winning a gold medal. I just don't. That's just me. I'm in the minority. I get it.
It's been too long since the U.S. has won gold in basketball now. I think they care about the country more. They're really starting to understand what those 3 letters on the front of their chest mean.
Really?
I think so.
All right. I hope so. I do hope so. We had some other great guests on in the last couple of weeks. Luther Campbell from 2 Live Crew, which was pretty cool. I think everybody was worried that, given his rap history, I think everybody was worried that he was going to come out and, drop F-bombs left and right. But
he's good.
You know what? He was good. He knows his sports, and he had great stories about each of the 3 guys we had out there with him, John Sally, Gary Payton, and for sure Chris Webber.
Yeah, I think our guys were a little afraid that
they were all afraid
that Mr. Campbell was going to dime him out a little bit.
He definitely had some dirt on them. I don't think the Chris Webber story came out on the air. It certainly came out off the air when I was talking to Luther Campbell, and if you ever heard Luther Campbell on Howard Stern, you probably heard the whole story. But needless to say, Luther Campbell, fun appearance on Best Damn, and we'd love to have him back. And then Vern Troyer, a.k.a. Mini-Me
on the show.
And I got to tell you, I don't know what I expected when I walked into the green room to say hello to him, but obviously everybody knows that he is he's tiny.
Yeah, 2'8".
Yeah, 2'8". That's not very tall, but he's almost shorter than I expected him to be, but cooler than I expected him to be.
Did you shake his hand?
I did.
How did that go?
Well, you don't squeeze very hard because honestly, when I put my hand out and he put his hand in mine, he doesn't have a grip, so you don't want to shake too hard, and you worry about almost crushing his hand.
So it's like a dead fish.
But you shake.
Okay.
You shake. I didn't want to not shake.
Right, of course.
I thought that would be the uncool thing to do. I mean, he's reaching out his hand.
Now, was he in a chair?
He was in a chair, but then he gets off the chair. He's in a chair when he's just not doing anything, hanging out. Because I think it actually it expends a lot of energy for him to walk around a lot.
Right.
I think when you're 2'8", that happens. But he was in the chair and then he was out of the chair. But he was cool. He did he did all the stuff we asked of him, and then he went out there and had fun with the guys. And he flipped the bird to the guys, which I guess is now becoming the Mini-Me trademark.
You learned that from Austin Powers.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had a couple of other cool guests on. We had the game, who was great.
The game was great, fantastic guy.
Bernie, you got to produce that segment.
No, I did. I didn't get a chance to talk to him before he came in that day, which we normally do with guests. But then as I spoke to him, he was, he's the game. He's this, hardcore rapper, in your face. He has beef with everyone. But then he was the nicest guy backstage. He was just eating. I was chatting to him about sports. Very knowledgeable. The most interesting thing about the game was when he grew up in Compton playing basketball with Baron Davis, Tayshaun Prince, Gilbert Arenas, a handful of guys that are in the NBA doing very well right now. And I asked him, I said, among those guys, where did you fit in basketball skill level-wise? Because he could play growing up. And he said, honestly, I was at the bottom. I was the worst. But then, as we asked him the same question on air, he got it. He saw the red light on. He goes, "I was the best." So I thought that was very interesting. That he knows that when he's in front of the camera,
just saying, humble off camera, on camera,
he gets into character, which I thought was very interesting.
But he was a great guest. He was one of those where, going in, I'm kind of unsure as to what you're going to get. And he was great.
No, I thought he was fantastic. Knows his stuff about just about every sport.
Yeah. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we had on, well, depending on who you talk to, we had on the Sunset Tan Girls. This is a show that airs on E! I'll be honest, I've never watched it.
Me neither.
I sort of knew of these girls, Molly and Holly. They call them the Ollie Girls. And they work at Sunset Tan. They're on this reality show. And they also do this football pick segment on the Internet, which is how I think they kind of crossed our paths. So we had them on the show. And I knew from the pre-interview that we were either in for a really, really good segment or not such a great segment and kind of awkward. I asked one of the girls, I said, well, were you athletic growing up? Did you play sports? And she said, well, actually, I played football. I can throw a football really far. So I said, well, how far? How far can you throw the football? She said, well, I can throw it further than you. I said, well, that's not hard. I can't throw it that far. But seriously, can you throw it 20 yards, 30 yards? She said, well, I'm not sure how far that is, but sure, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far that is.
But I think you're not.
Yeah.
So
I knew right there. That was, every now and then when you do the pre-interviews, the red flag goes up, and that was a red flag. But like I said, it could have gone either way, and I just think it was. I think it was awkward television.
It was a little awkward.
Awkward. But some people, some people I talked to, they're like, "Oh, the Sunset Tan Girls were pretty cool." I said, "Okay, well, some people thought that
they were something else, huh?"
Yeah. They didn't bring it like Luther Campbell or The Game.
Yeah.
But they were attractive.
They were, and they had football jerseys on.
They were attractive and had football jerseys on. Right. I guess that would be the selling point of that segment. So anyway, you want to get to our guest today?
Let's get to our first guest. I love him.
All right, Bernie is very excited. Joining us today, first baseman for the Baltimore Orioles, and best friend, Kevin Millar. Kevin, what's going on?
Boys, what's going on, guys?
Hey, good to have you on the podcast. So where are you right now? Are you headed to the game? You're in Seattle, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I just called in a cab here with our tall second baseman, Brian Roberts, and my uncle, Brad, and we're going to head over to Safeco.
Oh, yeah. Tell Brian Roberts I'm wearing one of Brian's bracelets right now, Kevin. That's a fact.
One of your Brian bracelets right now, the boy from Best Damn.
Hey, Millar, when you're taking a cab ride like that, what kind of tip do you give? Let's say the cab ride is like $20 to the stadium. What kind of tip are you giving on that?
We'll give the guy $20.50.
Wow.
Get change for $1. No, you go 25 then. You just round it up.
All right, I like that.
Every $5.
Yeah, I like that. 25% tip. See, that's good. That's pretty good.
Not bad, right?
Hey, so we'll talk baseball in a second, but man, let's talk about the White House. You went to the White House.
How about that? Honest to God, a mutual friend of mine, and Kenny Chesney, his name is John Walsh. He was Secret Service for George Bush for the past, so many years. Set up a thing. They had a baseball Hall of Fame dinner at the White House, and it was that Wednesday before, that last day of the All-Star break. And I wasn't real sure what it was, and they were having a T-ball out front and invited the kids out, and he's like, no problem, bring the kids. And so I almost got flaky on it. I'm thinking, well, you know what, I might just stay at the house and barbecue. Well, then I just decided, no, let's take the kids over there. Like, at least, my little one's 22 months and the twins are 3. So we went over there, and it turned out to be unbelievable. We sat, it was Kenny Chesney, myself, my wife, the kids, and then right behind us was George Bush, Frank Robinson, and Mrs. Bush. So it was like they got a chance to play with the kids, and like 40 minutes hanging out with the president.
Yeah. Hey, so what's a conversation like with the president and Kevin Millar? By the way, does he know? I mean, I know he knows baseball. Did he know you? Did he know you?
Yeah. He remembered in 2004 when we went there. Actually, in 2005 after we won the World Series with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
We went there, but he does like he was introducing himself, George W. Bush, George Cowboy, yeah. so he knew me as the Cowboy Up guy. But no, we were talking about that, and basically he asked where we stay at in the off season. I said Beaumont, Texas, and then obviously he has a ranch up the road a few hours, so. In January, he's going to be free, and we'll probably ride bikes together.
Wow, look at you hobnobbing with the president. Not bad.
How about that? Well, then Chesney sang, 6-7 songs that night after dinner, which is pretty cool. And
yeah, by the way, you sang with him, didn't you? There's a picture of you singing with Chesney, on the Rose Garden of the White House.
Yeah, he embarrassed me the last song. It was that Blue Rocking Chair, and I always make fun of Chesney with that song. Don't know the words, so he calls me up, and obviously in front of the president. I think Bud Selig was right there in the front row, and it was just like I was so embarrassed. I was sweating, and halfway through the song, I didn't want to ruin the song, so Chesney basically said, "I'm gonna give my friend Kevin Millar, and ask him to sing on the stage." It's like me hitting a fastball off Noah Ryan, him trying to sing the song. That was kind of like the big joke.
That's pretty cool. Hey, so one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, there's video that came from that T-ball game where there was a little girl who was introduced to the president and then started hysterically crying and had to be whisked away. Did you see that?
I didn't see that part of it. I didn't know she was crying, but I remember the little girl that was introduced to the president.
That's a good experience at the White House.
It was unbelievable. It really was. We had dinner. We ended up having dinner up basically in the living residences of the White House. So it was just, Bush, I guess you're allowed at the end of your term to start doing things you want to do, and he basically gets up there and talks. Says, "How about this? I got my baseball friends here. We got Kenny Chesney, country music. Life is good, you know." So it was just a fun night.
Hey, Millar, did you ever think growing up that you'd be at the White House not once but twice?
How about that, man?
How about that?
You never thought that. So it was a fun day.
Hey, so one of the other things I wanted to ask you about, I don't know if you're aware of this, but earlier in the week you were at Yankee Stadium playing a game against the Yankees. You hit one out. One of our best damn staffers caught your home run ball.
Now, Chris Rose left me a voicemail about this situation, and then he had been pressured to throw the ball back out.
Yeah, can you believe that?
He threw my ball back on the field, which now I'm disappointed. Just hitting him a ball, which I tried to do on purpose. he threw my ball away, man.
Well, the worst part of it is he's not a Yankee fan. He's not a New Yorker. He's a Cleveland Indian fan. So he had no allegiance really to either team, but just knowing that you hit that home run, obviously you come on Best Damn all the time, you're our good friend. Why not keep the ball? Why throw it back? Why get pressured by the Yankee fans?
That's my point. That was the whole thing that Chris was saying, and I was saying the same thing. But how funny, out of all the people, 62,000 or whatever was there, to hit it to him.
You got it.
Oh, Best Damn Sports Show family member.
Yeah, and by the way, that was a milestone home run for you. That was home run number 158. You probably would have given a lot to have that ball back.
Think about it, 158. That's big time. It's funny. My little cousin, she's 10. We were watching the trades last night. It was Manny Ramirez, Ken Griffey Jr.
Yeah.
And I forgot who else. And she's like, "Yeah, they're hitting 600 home runs, and Manny's got 500 home runs." And she looks at me and she goes, "How many home runs do you have?" And I'm like, 150. She's like, "That's not very good."
Well, Kevin, you've been on a tear lately. You shaved your head on Friday. That's right. Is that right?
That's right.
And then in those 6 games, you've had 4 home runs.
That's right. I had the dyed blonde hair that was basically hitting like a girl. So I decided to hit like a man and shave my head, and things have worked out.
How's your wife like the new hairdo?
It's definitely not a good look for me, but it's doing all right on the baseball field, so we'll take it.
Now, I also read that you might even shave your eyebrows.
Oh, don't do that.
No. I said basically there's no more. See, with the Orioles, you can't have facial hair. So usually I mess around with my facial hair when I'm struggling. There's nothing else to mess around with other than my head. So I shave my head, I'll grow it out, I'll dye it, or whatever it does. I said the next step is I'm going to have to shave my eyebrows. I look like Mona Lisa.
I'm going to say that's not a good look.
All right, now, Kevin, I got to ask you one other thing. Last Sunday, the Orioles broke this 15 Sunday losing skid, and I know it has a lot to do with the private meeting you guys had at your locker before the game. Now, what happened at this meeting? Nobody's really saying what exactly happened. But is it another thing like that happened in 2004 with the Red Sox with the passing around of a certain bottle?
That's a great guess, and you're right on the money. It's basically a symbolic toast as we're going to use now these days, because last time I took a ton of heat about that situation. So actually, you've sounded out correctly. There was a meeting in my locker. We had it at 20 minutes before game time. And the boys went off and rolled off, I think, 4 in a row. And then Jabba got us the last game, so I think we're 4-5
Wow.
this meeting.
See, exactly. You know what to do. You are the leader of that clubhouse. You're playing Gold Glove first base. You're shaving your head. You're doing everything this year, Kevin, and I love it.
Hey, Millar, can you tell that Bernie is an Orioles fan?
Can you what?
I said, can you tell that he's an Orioles fan?
I I love it. I feel the energy. You know what I'm feeling right now? The Orioles magic. Over the
You
phone.
better believe that video was classic, by the way. I love it.
Well, thank you. See, we just need to. We know what we need to do. We need to win 40 out of our next 42 games, and we're going to be right in this thing.
I'm with you. I'm feeling it.
Hey, so Millar, before we let you go, give us your quick take on the Manny trade.
Unbelievable. I mean, it happened so quick. I never would have thought that would have happened that quick, that fast. And obviously, situations went on in that clubhouse, and then Manny started, wearing on the guys. I don't know. I mean, I don't play for him anymore, but Theo made the decision, and he's in L.A. Are you better without Manny? Never. But, things that were going on behind the scenes, definitely. So we'll see what happens, man. It's good for both teams, maybe.
Yeah, the first thing I thought when I saw that trade was there's got to be something going on in that clubhouse that we don't know about, because it seemed like the Red Sox pretty much gave away Manny Ramirez. I mean, Jason Bay is a great player, but, Manny's Manny.
Manny's Manny, but I mean, you're looking at the best right-handed hitter, period. So,
no doubt.
Something had to go on behind the scenes, and I'm not a part of them, so I don't know.
Right.
I had a chance to talk, but definitely something crazy, because that's Manny Ramirez we're talking about.
Yeah, he was angry because he said he was there when they ran Pedro out of town and when they ran Nomar out of town. I mean, does this happen in the Red Sox clubhouse? In the organization, do they run these superstars out of town, or do they just leave on their own?
No. I don't know if you're running it. I mean, the bottom line is we always forget. I mean, Manny, I love Manny. Manny's a nice guy, but let's also be thankful. I mean, they gave him $160 million, so, let's not forget, it's not that bad, brother. You hit fourth, you're playing left field in the show for the Red Sox, and they gave you $160 million. Sometimes as players we forget we're employees of organizations, and I think we get spoiled a little bit and we start taking things for granted, and we can't forget that, hey, it's a blessing to be out there and play every day, and you're making a ton of money. Nothing's that bad, no team's that bad, no organization's that bad, and that's always been my feel.
All right, well, there you go. Hey, Millar, you guys are you're in Anaheim next week. Maybe you come in and have lunch with the Best Damn crew.
There you have it. I talked to Laura today. We'll try to make that happen.
Yeah, let's definitely do that.
And we'll have out.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for joining us on the podcast, and good luck in Seattle.
All right, guys.
Tell Brian Roberts we said goodbye as well.
I'll tell B-Rob you guys said hi.
All right, buddy.
See you, Kevin.
Take care. Well, there you go, Kevin Millar.
Man, that guy's the best.
I do like him.
He's the best.
And he's gonna come by and have lunch with us.
We're hanging out
on Monday.
With the Gold Glove first baseman.
Exactly. All right, man. Long podcast today.
Yeah, we needed to.
We got lots to talk about.
To.
Hey, so if you want to email us, if you have a question for us, a comment on anything we said in today's show, or anything you want us to talk about in future shows, the email address is bestdampodcast@yahoo.com. And we'll be back next week. We promise. No more long hiatuses, right?
Oh, no. We're in it to win it.
We're back. All right, so we'll see you next time on the podcast. Until then, I'm Jason Cahill.
I'm Bernie.
Have a great week.